We are moving into a state of totalitarian control. Those at the top controlling everything, and everyone else gets the crumbs. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. In today's video, I'm going to make the case for why we are headed into more difficult times. There are things that you can do as an individual, but please do not expect those that are supposedly voted in actually making a beneficial decision for you. They're not going to create progress. They're not going to make it easy. It is simply that we need to take care of things on our own and what we have control over. The first thing we need to discuss is what they call degrowth. This sounds like something coming out of the World Economic Forum. You will own nothing and be happy. But check this out. Degrowth holds that there will always be a correlation between economic output and carbon emissions, so the best way to fight climate change is for wealthy nations, I want to stop there, wealthy nations, not wealthy people, to cut back on consumption and reduce the material throughput that creates demand for energy and drives GDP. You see what's happening here? These, as they say, particularly in Europe and academic circles, this movement has started to catch on. Your life is too extravagant. Your life has too much abundance. And so the wealthy nations take from the overall world, because remember, if you earn $40,000 a year on a global scale, you're doing extremely well. But of course, where you live, it's probably not exactly what you would call rich. So they want to balance everything out when that makes no sense. If you live in, Silicon Valley area, or you live in the middle of nowhere, I think there's going to be a different cost of living. Things have to sort of find a balance to some degree. But there's some people somewhere that are ultimately deciding what you can and cannot have. This is shocking. And I'm going to show you different examples of the things that we are walking straight into. The price of everything has gone up. I'll show you a couple examples. Toronto City Council approves 9.5% property tax hike. 9.5% in a year. What do you think that does to people? Oh, they said it's only going to be 80 cents a day. Sure. Florida condo owners dump units over six-figure special assessments. That's one thing. They've got, of course, the rising insurance costs. You know it. You see it all the time. Home remodeling activity in the U.S. dips in the first quarter of 2024. People perhaps have had enough. They're kind of just waiting and seeing. I want interest rates to come down. It is not what it once was, let me tell you, okay? This is just showing us this different cities of the world that are the best for startups. And I think that when you look at different cities, some will actually encourage business. Some will encourage growth. Some will encourage one thing or another. And we want to be in the right place for us. That might be completely different for somebody else. If somebody's working in the oil industry, well, you've got to be in a certain spot, don't you? But if you're not, if you're working in tech, well, maybe Silicon Valley is the best place for you to be, right? So it really all depends. And I want to talk more about jobs. Look at this. A new study by job-seeking website Ladders found that high-paying remote jobs fell nearly 60%. While hybrid job availability fell 95% over the past year. Now, that's a sample. Of course, we always see that. But for those looking for more than $250,000 or more, only 4% of those jobs are available for remote work. A year ago, it was 10%. They want people coming back into the office. The days of completely remote work, especially with a higher salary, are dwindling. Things are changing in the job market. It's becoming tighter. It's becoming more stringent. How employees are quiet vacationing while on the job. It's not quite quiet quitting, and it isn't exactly a hush trip. Quiet vacationing is more of a workaround. That's right. You do nothing at all, and your employer still pays you. What's happening here, the employers know exactly what's going on. I remember seeing this myself working for a big establishment. You had your key cards, right? You had to access the building and access all these different locations within the building with your key card. And your key card is, of course, tied to their system. They know when you got in the building. They know when you went to the washroom. They know all these things. It's all there for them. And you can't lie to them. They know all these details. Oh, no, I was here really late. Well, no. Okay, because you left at 4 o'clock. All right, so they have all this information. What are they waiting for? They're waiting to fire you. They're waiting to fire you when the time comes when AI and robots can simply do that job. That's the way it goes. And with AI, as you can see it right here, we expect a 40% cumulative growth in power consumption over the coming 10 years, with 8% stemming from traditional and AI data centers. So I'm going to go into this in depth for all those on the Finance Friday crew. I want to give you a shout out. We're going to talk all about this. I'm going to expand on this a lot. Actually, this one and the next one I'll show you. So stay tuned for that. But looking at this, you can see there's going to be so much power consumption. This is talking about Europe in particular, but the same trends everywhere. In data centers, AI bull case, European power consumption rises by 50%. Think about this. They have a power issue. Okay, remember what happened just a couple of years ago? Oh, we're going to cut Russia off, but oops, we forgot to figure out our own power. Yeah, that's right. And the prices went through the roof. No warning to the average individual suffering. Anyway, this is the deal. AI, robotics, automation, power, these are the big trends. Cooling, these are all huge trends. And where are we going? The countries with the highest density of robot workers, you know that. I mean, South Korea leading the charge on that. But overall, we are going to see more and more and more robots doing things, more energy required, and a big change to the way we do things as a whole. Where are we headed? Well, is it Huxley? Is it Orwell? I don't know, but I can tell you that it's got elements of both, and it's got elements of the other things that we've seen. It's kind of wild. This is just an interesting infographic, but what can I tell you about this is that we are moving into a more difficult time. Okay, this is what I try to tell everybody. More difficult time upon us. And for a lot of people, they are simply just doing their what they were doing last year, what they were doing 5 years ago, they're doing it now. And that is a recipe for disaster. We need to be tough. We need to be dedicated, and we need to devote more and more and more time into becoming prepared. I have the pillars of prosperity, 2 things. Number 1, try to increase your income as best you can. And number 2 is trying to actually become prepared, self-sufficient to some degree. Do you have to be completely off the grid or whatever? No, but I'm just telling you that the more of those 2 things that you do, the better off. But of course, not just making more money and then going to the casino and spending it. No, we have to do the right things with the income that we have. We need to geographically diversify that income, or we're going to be crushed. You can see what's happening here. Degrowth. Have you ever heard of this concept before? Maybe. I hadn't. And then I see this, and of course it connects in with all these other things. Snub the bathtub. What about that? You can search that online. Snub the bathtub. Prince Charles, when he was the prince, all right, so-called prince, he said that, look, this is wasting a lot of energy. Me, the guy with 122 servants, is telling people, you can't even go in the bathtub because that's going to waste too much energy. You need to shut up, and you need to stop asking for heated water. Okay? Like the level of respect that the average person gets is essentially non-existent. That's what's happening today. You are becoming squeezed in every way by what they're doing to you, by the expenses that they push on you, and it's shocking to me. Okay, so learn about the pillars of prosperity. You can search Pillars of Prosperity, the Money GPS. That's there. I have Compass on my website. totally 100% free. themoneygps.com. You click on that first link. It says Compass. It's a financial education course. No sign up, no email, no upsells, nothing. Just get the financial education you need. And that is a very shareable link, themoneygps.com/compass, because it doesn't have my YouTube. It doesn't have any emails. You just know, you got a family, a friend, whatever. You just send them that link. Send them that link. They don't have to see anything related to the Federal Reserve, no YouTube, no, none of that. It's just videos, easy to read, easy to go through. Okay, and then of course, for people who want to actually know much more in depth, I have my live sessions, which are Friday and Sunday. If you're interested in that, there's a link at the top of this description. And as always, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.